Hey everyone, it's Jake, and today let's talk about Maestro once again and see how she is like after getting a buff. Now, she got some defense buff, as well as main thing is she got faster movements and her ultimate's doing more crucial debuff to the enemies. So when she can trigger ultimate, now she's actually pretty good, and I think it will make her more viable within PvP. As you can see here, her movement speed buff allows her to move to the center point a lot faster, and she is able to trigger her ultimate much quicker. Within the PvE content, this change makes it more viable, and also she's not able to get heal a bit. She gets 50% less heal, but that's still able to heal her, so within PvE contents, I think she should be more viable if you go to a place where you can kind of use her. Debuff itself doesn't seem to be that crucial as I thought it could be. It does work pretty well to enemies. As you can see, they lose actually a ton of health, and you can use rest of your teams to wipe out the thing. I think the main thing is you really need Elysium team members to come out and take her passive buff, so those units do some damage and tank things as well. So we have to see more characters for those team up has to come out to see the true potential with Maestro and their other members. Now within PvP, it's very hard to test, to be honest with you, with this week, because there's tons of Navi, and even without Navi, there's tons of characters that's able to just melt Maestro really easily. I gotta say, I only have like 10% of the movement speed gears, so if I had 20% movement speed gear or even close to that, maybe it'll be different. But I don't think it will make the huge difference as it would, because there's tons of characters that are able to cover at long range and hit her pretty well. But from some of the matches I had, I think there is definitely a potential that if she is able to trigger debuff, she can do some good stuff. But in generally, I think it's very hard to win against a lot of decks out there. 7 cost is definitely a huge downside, and you have to wait and see what other character that will come out. Just like what I said for the PvP contents, more Elysium Philharmonic characters has to come out to take a benefit of her passive buff. Then we'll see how well she will play after that. I can kind of see her becoming a 6 cost as well down the road, because 7 cost itself is way too heavy. But I think as of right now, she is definitely better than before. I can say that for sure, because once you trigger ultimate skill, as you can see in this match, that you will see it will really drain out enemies' health pretty well. And honestly, the fact that you can trigger ultimate is very hard, of course, but if you can, it does pay out quite a bit. It's just that, is it worth 7 costs to, pull that? It's pretty fun, to be honest with you. It's pretty fun, but I don't think if you're playing to win, this is the character that you probably want to use, because there's just too many downsides to overcome the requirement it needs to trigger ultimate skill. But as you can see, I'm about to trigger ultimate skill here right now, and you can start to see their HP decrease pretty well. Just look the other person's Maestro meltdown. It's actually pretty insane how fast it melts down, and they're all dead. There's another downside of this, is that this debuff only applies to enemies that was already on the field. So as you can see, some of the new units came out after she triggered her ultimate debuff. Now they are not able to stack that debuff onto those new spawned enemies. So enemies has to be on the field while she's casting the ultimate to get the debuff. So you can just literally just redeploy the units and they'll just ignore the debuff. Of course, that'll be pretty hard in a lot of situations with the gauntlet. So it's not a huge downside, but at the same time, I think that makes her kind of useless after taking out all these enemies. And now you kind of see enemies deploying the units once again, which the debuff will not stack. Maybe it'd be better if she didn't stay at the home ground at this point. Maybe she just immediately start walking again. Then maybe it'll be better while enemies are all dead on the field. She can move a little bit safely towards to the enemies. Then once the enemies are come out like this in position like right now, then she can trigger her ultimate once again to wipe out the enemy. I think I was actually managed to use the ultimate twice in this clip, as you can see here. But let's check out, and I think it's coming to the end, and she is about to trigger the second ultimate, and the Amy comes out, and holy crap. Yeah, it's pretty intense match. At this point, I'm not really trying to win, but we'll see. Yep, and it does drain their HP down quite a lot. It really does. So in that sense, I think long as you can trigger the debuff, it's pretty good. But like I said, you have to trigger the debuff, and there's a lot of things you have to consider. And honestly, if they made a requirement a lot easier, it would be really OP character, and probably the best way to counter it is using Maestro yourself, or using Nayubin to reduce its HP, because Nayubin will shred Maestro for sure. But that is pretty much it from my impression of using Maestro after getting buffed. I think she is much better, of course. It's not there yet. You have to see what other characters come out to be used with her, not to mention how the Shanna is going to get buffed out in the future to be more useful. But that is pretty much it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. It's Jake. I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.